Last night, Southampton FC held their fans forum. So this is my reaction to that fans forum, or quite simply, if you don't want to watch the entire hour fans forum, but want to know what happened, I'm going to give it to you. The panel consisted of Mark Bitcon, Director of Football Operations, Russell Martin, First Team Manager, Phil Parsons, Chief Executive Officer, and Jack Stevens, Club Captain, all hosted by BBC Radio Solent's Adam Blackmore. There's been a lot been said about Adam's hosting of this. Personally, I think it's an impossible task to try and, one, host a radio show and also direct the flow of conversation and questions that make sure everyone in the room feels like they've been heard, but also everyone elsewhere watching feels like it's been a constructive use of time. So it's kind of a difficult task to do. Many people did feel that he was asking his own questions. I think he was purely just trying to direct the conversations. But again, it's an impossible task. The other big topic, of course, was transfer activity. A good point that was made was the fact that Flynn Downs and Taylor Harwood-Bellis are effectively new signings. So that's a lot of money that's been laid down already. They did also make point to the fact that we are going to need to move on some players. Armel Bella-Kotchap looking like he's on his way already. And of course, with Sugawara coming in as a Kyle Walker-Peters replacement, bit awkward that Kyle Walker-Peters is still here, although I am quite happy with it. On that motion, the club are quite happy for him to stay, but in Russell Martin's words, he's quite happy if Kyle Walker-Peters does a Shea Adams effectively and runs out the contract and effectively keeps us in the Premier League. It could be a win-win for all, but perfect scenario, Kyle Walker-Peters signs a new contract, but it's really going to be down to the player whether or not that happens. Now, I'm going to bring attention to effectively what each of the panelists brought to the conversation, starting with Mark Bitcon. He brought to the conversation the fact that the clubs within the Sports Republic group are sharing information, which is of course beneficial to all. Exactly how beneficial it is to Southampton, I'm not unconvinced yet, if I'm perfectly honest, but information is being shared to basically help with player development. He also talked about FFP and how player development in the youth academy actually looks in today's football. We've seen countless occasions where Man City are using their youth academy to effectively farm players and sell them out the door before they even get first team football to basically bring in revenue for the club. And is this the case for Southampton also? It was mentioned that Tyler Dibbling and Sam Amayor might be the ones to buck the trend in that, as they have shone in pre-season, but time will tell whether or not we'll see them actually make it to first team squad in the Premier League. Moving on to Mr. Phil Parsons, Chief Executive of Southampton Football Club. I'll be honest with you, Phil's done an amazing amount for this club already in terms of what he's done to modernise the stadium, safe standing, the northern wall. I could go on in terms of stuff that he's brought in, but I do feel he's dropped the ball massively on the 10% discount for season ticket holders. Effectively now, this 10% discount for season ticket holders in the club shop is now only going to be at seasonal times, directed from the club. Now, I just think this is a bit petty, if I'm honest. I don't see it being that much of a benefit. Now, that said, the club do have to bring in revenue, and there was also a few mentions in regards to the price of beer and burgers, which wound up Twitter no end. But the club have to create revenue to keep in line with FFP and just generally keep the club profitable. But with the cheapest season ticket price increasing by a whopping 26%, you'd think he might be able to hold the price on the beers? Joking aside, it must be noted that the club have held ticket prices or season ticket prices for the last 2 seasons, I believe. So effectively, these prices are now coming more into line with the reality of football clubs elsewhere. Phil Parsons also talked about opening the train station directly outside the stadium. He also talked about doing more with Southampton City Council in regards to the waterfront and modernising the area. Jack Stevens also spoke about player unity in the dressing room and what it's exactly like to have speculation surrounding players during this transfer window. I personally think we're in a better place than we've ever been in regards to team spirit. I just think we perhaps need a few more additions and perhaps some of the other players who are looking for a move away to be moved away. But hey, That's in a perfect world. Russell Martin says he is looking forward to the Premier League season, but knows exactly how tough it's going to be. This will be Russell Martin's first season as a Premier League manager, and he knows all eyeballs are going to be on him. Overall, I think it was a good fan forum. Ultimately, there were many things that the club could and couldn't say, but I think it's a great opportunity for fans to be able to ask questions directly. And if there was a question that you wanted to ask and you weren't able to ask and you wish someone did ask, well, then next time you need to make sure that you get along to one and ask your question. Wow, that was patronising. But was it a good fan forum? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section now. Up the Saints.